The most people spend their whole life trying to make their little human life better. They pray to God to have a little bit easier life. They pray to God to, not for enlightenment, not for realization, not for clarity at all. They just pray for a few more dollars to spend, going to a few more physicians. They pray that a few more people will like them a little better. They pray for an easier life. And my dear friends, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I say that with a big smile. Life is truly a pain in the ass. Human life is truly a pain in the ass. And this is now when I launch into I'm going to piss a lot of people off, tirade. Human life is inhumane. It is. Life and humans have gotten to the point of being pathetic. Pathetic. Really sad. And Pete, if anybody is nodding his head and saying yes, because he realized he's a fresh one. He just crossed over. And he realizes that there's all this talk. Oh, we should love life. We should love other people. Screw that. Really, screw that. Because what I see constantly is people trying harder and harder and more desperately to make the little selfish human life better. And you know that it doesn't work. You've gone beyond that point saying, I'm just going to clean up the little box that I live in. I'm going to try to make it tidier. I'm going to try to make myself happier. I'm going to keep taking happy courses and happy pills. It doesn't work. It comes to a point where you realize that life is really pathetic. Life should be an experience, but that's long gone out of really life on this planet for humans. Life can be an amazing, beautiful experience, but it's long gone on this planet. Humans are suffering. Humans are going crazy, and it's going to continue. In these coming years, you're going to see it more and more. They are going to go crazy because life has become inhumane. Life has become, well, imagine this. You go to the zoo for the day. When you're thinking, this is going to be a grand experience going to the zoo, and I'm going to see the different animals. I'm going to buy some zoo stuffed animals to take home, and I'm going to eat zoo food and cotton candy and popcorn and soda and all. It's a fun day. But you go to the zoo, and you start wandering around. You go to the monkey house, and you go to the lion cages, and you see the elephants. You get so caught in it that you forget that you're in the zoo. You forget that you came there to have an experience, to visit. And pretty soon, the outside world, the reality, the real reality, fades away. You forget. Now you're trapped in the zoo, and pretty soon, you're in one of those cages. And pretty soon, you're stuck, you're trapped. Pretty soon, you're sitting in the cage, and you're noticing people are coming by, taunting you, looking at you. And then pretty soon, you're growling at them. You're so trapped in your cage in the zoo, and what you do is you try to clean the cage, and you pray for a little better food. You pray for a little bit more heat on those cold nights. You pray for a little bit more companionship from the others who are locked in your cage with you. And you forgot that it's not reality. You forgot that this is not real, but you insist on it. You work at it. You try to be a better caged animal in the zoo. You try to be a little smarter than a few of the other animals. You try to keep from aging in the zoo. You try to be a very pretty looking monkey in the zoo. And you forgot that you don't belong there. And worse than that, everybody else around you has forgotten also. It's psychotic. I mean, it's really psychotic. The real psychosis is not the people who are trying to be independent, not you, not the ones who are saying this isn't right. The ones who are psychotic are the ones who are trying to make their cage in the zoo a little bit better. That's not you. So you're in this quandary, my friends. And the quandary is stuck kind of in that middle place. Life. Life in the old way, which was psychotic, is psychotic. It is an inhumane world right now. Just polishing the edges, pretending that we're all happy, pretending that life is going to be better tomorrow, sucks. It doesn't work. And you know that. You're at that point. Well, you're at that point of, it's not a bad point either, at the point of almost a breakdown. What is next? Where do we go from here in this crazy, psychotic, pathetic world? There's going to be those who say, oh, Adamus is talking bad about humans, and we love humans. We're going to do a prayer circle tonight with candles and chanting. You're doing it inside your cage. You're doing it inside the zoo, and it's not real. And you can do it. You'll feel better until tomorrow morning, or maybe the next day, and you're going to be right back to where you were. They're going to say, Adamus doesn't like humans. Adamus is so arrogant. No, I know, I feel your pain. I feel your feeling that you're going to explode, feeling that you don't know if you want to stay or you want to leave. That's the worst, as Pete will tell you. Live well or leave. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Not just mentally human crazy. That'll eventually go away. But soul crazy. I mean, deep crazy. You don't want that. Like what I like to refer to as red lion crazy. And there's no need for it at all. This world is psychotic. I'm not talking bad about humans, people. Humans are fine, but they believe in this stuff. They believe in love. They talk about love. And what I see from so many is neediness. They talk about charity. And what I see from so many is guilt. They talk about happiness. And all I see is the carrot in front of the horse, getting them through another day. They talk about their religions and their gods, but all I see is control. And they talk about progress, and all I see is distraction. They talk about doing the right thing for the good of all, and all I see is they're trying to get more for themselves. Am I a bit jaded about humans? No, I love humans. I was one. I say I was because I've been there. And I still am. I still relate to it. I still shine my humanness where I go. But I've also gotten out of the zoo. Took 100,000 years. Did I ever tell you the story? Do tell, please. One of these days, the movie that David's always wanted to do, the movie Saint Germain and his 100,000-year crystal. It'd be a great movie. And who's going to star in it? Somebody had called saying Robert Downey Jr. Yes. So 100,000 years just sitting in a crystal. That's the movie. And then one day, I got myself in here. I can get myself out, and that's a movie. Takes about 5 minutes to do. That's. Yes, I am a bit jaded right now about humanity because it has gotten so stuck. Communications has, in one way, kind of helped with people's freedom and independence. But you know what happened? With all the great technology, communications, global connectivity and all the rest of that. Humans enjoyed a brief moment of a little bit more freedom and then took that very technology and those communications and everything else and immersed more deeply into their cage in the zoo. They used that very thing that could have provided liberation and the more freedom for this world, and they have now used it for even more psychosis, getting stuck. You're in a funny place. Funny that you're right in the midst of it. You've got that gravity pulling at you every day and every moment, and yet you know it's not real. You know there's something more. You're interesting because as tough as things have been, you still want more, and you're going to insist on it, which is why I love you. You're going to insist on it until you're out of it, until you've walked out of the cage and the zoo and can laugh at it. And then, once that happens, my friends, the things that you worry about here, once you go beyond, you get out of the zoo, you stand outside of the gates and you laugh at it. You realize it was just an experience. You get out, then at that point, then you can walk back in any time and you'll never get stuck again. You'll never get drawn into it by the gravity of the zoo and the cage and everything else again. Never. That's when, my dear, the aging stops in a way. Because you're timeless at that point. But you can't think your way through it from the pathetic human standpoint, the selfish human. You can't overcome your health or your financial problems from within them. You cannot. And that is my point today. I've said it before. If you tuned in, try to get something new. I'm going to keep saying it in different ways until you get that big aha. The health problems, the focus on health is psychotic in itself, neurotic, both. And there's no blame in it at all, whatsoever. And you're not going to fix it. It will get worse. It'll get worse, as with all the other things, because you keep immersing deeper and deeper. The gravity has got you right by the legs, and it's dragging you down in. You're not going to get there through your humanness. So once you realize that, once you're ready to let go, once you realize this is one great big crazy world, and you're not going to fit in, you're not going to stop your aging or stop your health problems or stop any of those other things from within the cage in the zoo. You're just not. Once you realize that, then all of these things suddenly clear up on their own. Not because you're working on your health or because you're working on your aging or your money or anything else, because you've gone beyond. You've walked beyond all of that. Then they balance. Then you never worry about health again, or if you do it in a fun way, in a way where it's just now a game, but then you get tired of the game and you move on to something else. I'm upset about the world right now because I know what it can be. I know what an experience it can be. I'm upset because I see the gravity. I see the mass consciousness dragging people deeper and deeper and deeper within. And what do? They take pills. They take all sorts of therapies. They kill each other. They war. This is a planet that continues to be at war, they're thieves, they're robbers, they're warriors. And I know some of you are already writing your emails. Adamus is saying all these bad things about humans. Am I lying? Am I making it up? I don't think so. I think it's psychotic to pretend it's not there. And the point is, it's getting thicker. But for you, my friends, you're in a funny, odd, unusual, uncomfortable spot. You're in the world and you're not in it. You're trying to make your human life better from within your humanness. I talk about it particularly in Kihak, the selfish human, trying to fix things, trying to make things better. You're just tidying up your cage at the zoo a little bit. That's it. So what to do? What to do? It is to understand first, understand the mind and the body, understand the consciousness, which we've talked about so often, and then it's to go crazy. And that's where we're at. Crazy is something that is defined as being outside the norm. So crazy is okay. Psychotic is defined by meaning that the psychotic person has no orientation or grounding or connection anymore to reality. But when the definition of psychotic is written from within the zoo by one of the inmates, using the zoo itself as the definition as being grounded, there's something wrong. And that's why I say this. Humans are psychotic and they're inhumane, humane, unhumane. Humanity, the basic humanity is amazing. But humanity, being in humanity, is meant to be an experience, not a punishment. It's meant to be an experience. That's all. It's not meant to be the final thing. You can never, ever, 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 ever perfect your humanity. Not meant to be. It's only meant to be experienced. And all the inmates at the zoo are trying to perfect it. Life is hard. Life is hard. And you were all about right, according to my measurements of human life. It's somewhere at about, I go to about a 7.8 to 8, somewhere right in there. And that's tough. That's tough. I mean, I'm not talking about you. We'll talk about you in a moment, but that's really tough. If you imagine that most humans have a harder life than not, that doesn't mean they're not happy some of the time, because they can be. I'm not saying bad life, I'm saying hard life. And hard life meaning things like the body, one of the bigger issues, and its pains and its everything else, and then it dies. And the mind, the complexity of the mind. Somebody said that it's hard because people don't let themselves be more simple. And that's exactly right. The mind makes it very complex. Complexity leads to challenges, difficulties, and also the belief that you have to work hard to get something. A lot of you have that consciousness, that you have to work hard at things, and you've extrapolated that, you've applied it from your childhood, working hard in school, your early career, I have to work hard in this job, and now you've applied that to your spiritual journey, I have to work hard, because otherwise, well, then I'm not making any progress. So human life is hard. And your answer is so good on this, because it's hard because of relationships. It's hard because of expectations. It's hard because you have to go to work every day for a job, which you don't necessarily like, is not creatively fulfilling. You're going through rote or repetitive motions day after day. You're putting up with a boss and who you don't necessarily respect. I'm not talking everybody, but there's too many that life just gets hard. Now, it's not necessarily a good statement about humanity. And as I said last month, it was never designed that this human experience be hard. It was not designed to hurt, but it's become that way. And it's not necessarily going to change for quite a while. It's not going to get out of that pattern of being hard. What happens instead is that human wakes up in a morning, and they start off maybe in the state of 5, neutral. not hard, not easy. They're just waking up. But you watch as the first hours of the day progress, and it goes quickly to 6 to 7. Then it kind of levels off a little bit, and then later in the day it goes to about 8, 9 at points, and then in the evening it settles down a little bit. It comes back and kind of settles in at about a 7.5. The typical life of a human on the planet, and it's hard because of the physical, it's hard because of jobs and because of family. A day is not really fun. It's not exciting. How many people wake up in the morning and say, it's a brand new day to be on this planet? Very few. Very, very few. So they try to medicate it or intoxicate it or deny it. They, as I talked about many times, they medicate their anxiety. And their anxiety is just saying, something's not right. Something damn is not right. And if they let that anxiety really come in, it would move them off the dime, move them off of that routine that's got them so into the hard life. But they don't. They medicate it. Or they drowned it in alcohol or drugs or something like that. To kind of, it's a form of denial on its own. Or they just hypnotize themselves into keep on going. The planet has gotten a very funny place, very mental, as I talk about often, very unsensual, very unfeeling, really trapped in the mind. And I'm going to bring this into conclusion in a bit, but it's a hard existence, and it shouldn't be.